Hello, this is Pavel, and let's do today's brief. A lot of things are happening, and of course, the top of the every news, AI-related news, is the U.S. government request to shut down new and latest Anthropic's Fable 5 model. There are different angles from where the people are looking in what happened and where things going from here, and what the conclusion we should run it for our businesses. On a general level, it is creating the interesting paradox that I don't know if it's new, but it is definitely new from that angle. If you look at the LLM as the new way to convenient access to all human knowledge we have, and it's some way it is. So all LLMs are processing all available knowledge. I'm oversimplifying, but whatever we have said goes into LLM, and it provides interface for human to query this in a convenient way. Well, obviously, it has way more functionality. It has reasoning, which is technologically is complex process of understanding the intent of the question, and it has ability to speak back like a human, producing the text instead of large chunk of results coming from the query. But if I would summarize it in one sentence, it is a technology that provides us access to entire human knowledge. It does not have a manufacturing capability. It does not allow us to create any weapons. It is a knowledge. And yesterday, U.S. government decided that it is too dangerous for people to have access to entire human knowledge. Well, the different angle from what it has, how it will affect businesses. After initial shock, the general sentiment that I see across social and YouTube is that you cannot build your AI strategy based on one model. It was somewhat an agreement before, but now this argument will not require any defense. So the companies that are going to the market soon with a trillion and above evaluation that have a proprietary model now will be dealing with the sentiment across the companies, across the business world, that you cannot use any of those models as a single strategy for AI. It must be mixed, it must be replaceable. So essentially, the model is pushed into being a commodity. So it must be replaced if you want to build the AI strategy. So, and it's an interesting twist because another wave of news I see is a call for using local models. Well, local models exist, they always existed. It became easier to set up our own local model. And obviously they are behind in capabilities toward the frontier models. But the call for businesses to continue to use the local models, probably just the beginning. That will be a move that will push majority of agentic workflows to use local models or open source models to avoid dependencies. And that will create a hit to frontier models, frontier companies developing models who are putting enormous disproportionate amount of effort, resources, and finances into develop and to moving to pushing these capabilities forward. And this is correlated to the topic we discussed yesterday. So what is going to be when the companies stop relying on a single model and there will be more and more models introduced into the all different agentic workflows, and the amount of those workflows will be get to the point that upgrading them to the newer model will become a substantial effort. Retesting. None of those models guarantee to produce exact same results, even from the same vendor. upgrading to the different model, to the different iteration of the model, will potentially break the flow. I had a conversation yesterday with someone who feels lost in their business need for AI because everything changing so fast and everything he is learning about AI is by becoming outdated and not efficient to use. So he starts feeling that doing nothing is a better tactic, better strategy. And it reminded me the what's called bullwhip effect. When in a complex systems that includes multiple layers, then signal as it goes through layers often gets amplified by the previous layer reaction, not by the initial signal. I think it came from the supply chain operational model, but it's applicable for AI. Yes, it's true that everything is changing so fast. If you monitor closely to changes that goes in AI, I think it's just going 24/7 change. But from the business perspective, the customer demand increase is not that dramatic. The need for change for the service is not as changing every 24 hours. And this is where the business needs to focus. AI is the way to deliver this change, and change is what is needs to be planned first, and then looking for how to achieve this change. Increasing the customer satisfaction, response rate, service delivery, reducing cost of service delivery. It is not something that is changing every day. In addition, there's an opportunity for small businesses, which I think now amplifies with the speed of change. Because the bigger companies, while they have more finances, resources, have a slower capacity to change. It was always the case. We always said that the single advantage of the smaller company is the ability to adjust to the changes, to the requirements faster. And it is going to the next level. It looks like it is the correlating with the speed of change. The effort requires for the huge corporation to move into agentic flow. It is hard to imagine compared to the smaller company that can put it in the relatively short period of time and have productivity, the output, the cost of service delivery different from the large corporation might be twice, might be several times. And this is tremendous opportunity. For example, quality of output. So the same as in a small company where a few people work together, there's no governance framework. So people know what they do, and few supervisors or managers oversee other people's work. So everything you put in a scale of the large corporation gets 1,000 times more complex. That's going to be exactly true with the agentic AI. You implement the agent that compiles the data, creates the report, send it to the management, and you notice that agent really missed the point that the amounts are in different currencies. And this is easy to fix, easy to update and continue using this flow. Put it in the context of the large corporation, that will be the full stop. There will be meetings, there will be updates, there will be rules. It is hard to move for the corporations at the same speed. But it's also important to understand that governance is now going to the smaller company. You cannot use the same concept when you work with the people, when you set something in the keychain and it is considered the agentic flow requires controls, requires guardrails, requires traceability and compliance. So all of this is now going to the small company level and needs to be adopted as a practice. This is my general concept that a service company of the future is a technology company that should be run, managed, and controlled and grow as a technology company. Another topic I want to discuss is something that we touched a couple of days ago, that value must have behind, in one form or another, human effort. So it is obvious that people stop valuing something that is produced that has no effort behind, whether it is a presentation, whether it is the music, if there's no human effort behind. So we do not value this. And from the business perspective, if you look at the classical trio, that business must be creating value, delivering value, and capturing value. It is makes sense to put strategically AI into the step of creating value while keeping delivering value still in the human area. So it doesn't matter how the job is done, but delivering should have a human touch in order to continue staying to being a value for human. And the last interesting thought I have is the idea of the company memory. Everyone talks about the company memory nowadays, about creating the company memory. And it is the collection of everything we might aggregate about company. Would it be databases, would be conversation, will be documents, because AI has almost infinite capacity to process all of the information and detect pattern, extract decisions, and help with the improved feedback to the situations. The bigger the company memory, the better AI can help. But I was thinking, all of those second brain ideas are relatively new. And when you start creating second brain for yourself or for the company, obviously everything goes in there is relatively fresh. But over time, stale document, outdated documents, the conversations that are no longer relevant, the clients that are gone, the requirements that are no longer in sync with the situation or vision will clutter and might be even hurt the decision made by AI. So the company, the second brain, the memory needs an expiration date. And that creates multi-level complexity to even hypothetical idea of the company's second brain. Let's say for the company's policies, all right, so it's coming from documents, and documents have an expiration and they might be removed from the document world. But what about conversations? What about emails? We trust users to make judgment, and we're not happy that not always human make a right judgment. We replace it with a machine, but now machine again needs to make a judgment based on the growing amount of information about company, and probably will make even more errors because machine cannot get up and go to the next office and ask following questions. Technically it can, but it will be way more complicated setup than actually letting humans to do this. All right, I think we're good for today. It's Sunday, so let's go on with our weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.